Schrodinger's Strikebreakers, how online hiring lowers wages for every worker. Ghost jobs, evergreen roles, and talent pools, the three-tiered machine erasing worker power. Hi, my name is Sarah Trumbull. I'm the founder and CEO of the Job Applicant Perspective, the first anonymous user reviews for job ads across the U.S. It's a level of go-to-market awareness as well as public service for all the gaslighting. I'm running a paradigm shift, and it's my first go at it. But to my knowledge, you have to meet people where they are, which includes the written format that this comes from, my Substack, but also visual and audio format is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube and Substack too as well. So, starting from the beginning. Imagine a picket line that thousands crossed without their permission or consent, happening everywhere. That's what a talent pool is. A soft threat, a quiet replacement line, a digital scab list written in disappearing ink. The act of it being allowed to exist breaks picket lines, and the act of the union power being less makes the talent pools grow. This helps union membership decrease, union dues decrease, and that also helps the talent pools grow. And every worker who has ever uploaded a resume online might already be on it. Who this is for? Labor union organizers tracking falling union membership, suppressed wages, and decreased worker engagement. I write these things economically and academic blog stuff, but this one's geared in their direction. Economic sociologists studying how unregulated platform incentives quietly build a digital reserve army of labor. Journalists investigating the structural imbalance between worker power and employer leverage. The workforce's stock market, minus all consumer protections. The labor market functions like a stock market for 160 million people. It's financial safety and socioeconomic mobility, access to food, clothing, shelter, and healthcare, and if you're lucky, retirement. But workers don't purchase job ads with profits, they purchase them with time. When hiring moved online, it lost all consumer protections. Regional newspapers had a structural incentive to maintain accurate listings. Fake jobs meant angry readers, lost subscribers, damaged reputation. Geographic proximity and word of mouth created accountability. Digital platforms reversed this entirely. Misleading the U.S. labor force became profitable. With no consumer regulations and no financial penalty for wasting people's time, the online hiring market became less a labor market, more an economic oil rig, extracting unnecessary hours from job seekers at scale. Every application a small, uncompensated withdrawal. What newspapers would have been punished for, online platforms got paid for. And the extraction doesn't just stop at job seekers. Why give raises when replacement looks easy? Why promote when a talent pool says you're disposable? The employed feel this pressure too, they just can't see where it's coming from. First, let's go through the steps here. And I'm not going to mention ATS systems or recruiters or sub-recruiters on this. I'll do those another time, but hidden workers kind of hints at how ATS systems profit from the unemployment of the U.S. labor force. First, ghost jobs, the original platform-level distortion. Ghost jobs did not start in 2024 or with the pandemic in 2020. In 2013, the Wall Street Journal was one of the first major media organizations to start reporting on the then new concept of phantom postings. By 2024, Forbes reports 30% of postings never lead to a hire. HR Drive reports 28 to 32% go nowhere. Wall Street Journal puts it at 18 to 22% of job ads on major platforms as ghost listings. What workers experience as the frustrating job search is actually a market-level distortion caused by platforms whose revenue depends on posting volume, not successful hiring. Ghost jobs are often unintentional, but can be otherwise. Scraped listings in unregulated environments, duplicates across vendors, stale requisitions that are never removed. Come on, we all have a sign up for a free subscription and then we forgot to undo it. It happens. Reposting for SEO. Whether by negligence or design, the economic effect is the same. Signal distortion at the platform level that suppresses wages. And the fact that since the first ghost jobs started getting reported on 12 years ago, reports of them heavily magnified, doesn't speak to vendors addressing the issue for their stakeholders in a two-sided market. It speaks to vendors profiting from normalizing its existence. What even is a ghost job in these definitions, too? That's another whole thing. Actual intents to hire, depending on talking about intent or effect, an actual intents to hire can engage as a ghost job for the labor force, too. For example, even when employers intend to hire, platforms extract free labor at scale. Nothing stops a company from posting the same role on Indeed in 10 different regions. One actual job becomes 10 listings, 10 applications, because there's no norm, no training from the platforms for job seekers, and no way to question anyone. Job seekers don't know how they're supposed to engage depending on the company or the platform. Many reapply. Now multiply that across platforms and scrape that and rehash. Platforms could fix this. A simple norm. One application to company X for role Y counts across all locations. They don't. They lose no money by wasting the time of their stakeholder workforce unnecessarily, even for real roles. On the contrary, duplicate postings mean duplicate revenue, not duplicate hires for employers, so the value extraction is for one stakeholder only, for vendors and employers. Economically cancerous, not a value add. And it's been going on for decades at scale. Result? A market filled with ads that never correspond to real hiring. Ghost jobs inflate visible labor supply. The macro signal. I'm really looking at you guys, labor unions. I don't know how to say exploited labor in more economic terms, but exploited free labor market, yeah? Evergreen roles, part 2, the company side inflation. Evergreen roles are different. They're intentionally posted positions permanently. Whether a vacancy exists or not, they get reposted. Hence my Schrodinger's reference. This was fun for me. I don't usually get to bring in my physics degree for these kinds of conversations. So needing to do something that is and isn't all at the same time works really well in this situation. Companies use them to keep candidate flows warm, future-proof staffing, maintain optionality, and pressure internal employees quietly. Workers apply to jobs that might exist 6 months from now or might never exist at all. Yeah, Schrodinger, a cat in a box. Look it up. It's a good story. Result: evergreen postings inflate functional supply, the employer level signal. To a worker, it looks like there are plenty of openings. Competition is high, negotiation is risky. To an employer, it functions as a permanent maybe of replacements, a structurally chilling effect on wage demands. An evergreen job is a digital equivalent of saying, you can organize if you want, you can demand more, but look, we have options. No one has to say the threat out loud. It doesn't even have to be meant. It's far more effective to not. Structure doesn't care about your intent. It's like a head on a pike outside of a drawbridge. Just letting it exist visibly in the architecture is entirely effective. We're talking structure here. It's not emotions and it's not intent. This is what the structure would do. Talent pools, the invisible strikebreaker list. Talent pools are databases of replacement workers that people join unknowingly by applying to evergreen jobs, clicking one-click apply, being imported into an ATS, or having their resumes stored from a previous cycle. And they scale. Micro level, one company's internal pool. Meso level, multi-company pipelines held by vendors. For example, Greenhouse, ICMS, Workday, Eightfold, Beamery. I put links to these in my written blog post. I put it in there too, but macro level, aggregated labor market reservoirs sold as AI talent clouds, combining scraped resumes, passive candidates, previous applicants, and cross-platform profiles. These are pools employers can purchase, search, and use to pre-sort hypothetical replacements who never applied. This is why talent pools are to hiring what training data corporate are to AI. A collection of human labor harvested silently, repurposed without the worker's knowledge, made available to third parties, used to optimize employer leverage. Result? Talent pools inflate threatened supply, the psychological signal. And this is the critical one for labor union organizers. Nobody has to bring in strikebreakers. They just have to make workers believe they could. Digital labor markets industrialized that threat, and the workers didn't know they were being used to threaten each other. The three-tiered wage suppression machine. Put together, we have Tier 1, visible supply, ghost jobs. Platforms inflate job inventory. Looks like high demand for labor, wage pressure falls. Tier 2, functional supply, evergreen roles. Companies inflate open roles. Looks like unlimited opportunities. Workers accept lower offers. Tier 3, threatened supply, talent pools. Vendors aggregate replacement reservoirs. Looks like infinite substitutes. Bargaining power collapses. And every last increased amount of ghost jobs is more a desperate worker eager to just get the job. Well, at least I have something, That'll do just fine. This is not a conspiracy. It requires nothing. It's just economic structure. This is not emotion. This is not cultural. This is structural. A digital reserve army of labor was built accidentally, profitably, and quietly. And every worker in the economy feels its effect, even those who already have jobs and have had them. Check the research. Economists have documented wage scarring, which is persistent earnings losses for workers who enter markets during depressed demand. For example, National Bureau of Economic Research studies long-term effects of unemployment on household economic stability. The relevance for unions is structural. Digital labor markets now manufacture the appearance of slack even when true demand is stable. Ghost jobs, evergreen requisitions, and talent pools create the signal of excess supply, the same signal employers have historically used to justify lower wages. This means wage scarring research is no longer just about recessions. It very possibly explains why younger workers experience stalled earnings even in tight labor markets. Any union organizers or academic types interested in an academic version of this work can go to my SSRM page. I'm an egghead on these sorts of things, as much as I can be. These are white papers. I'm still business person. You know what I mean. Thesis revisited. How do you tell the difference between an employee of the talent industry and a member of the job-seeking U.S. labor force? Both spend thousands of hours and often years these days generating revenue for the talent acquisition solutions industry. Jacobs and Kalu's tracked 9 years for one person. Harvard's and Hidden Workers Untapped Talent tracked 2 years for 27 million Americans. 16% of the workforce, I think. So, how do you tell the difference? Both spend thousands of hours and often years generating revenue for the talent acquisition industry. Only one of them has to get paid. I feel like that deserves a moment of silence, folks. 27 million Americans generating revenue. Yeah. That's structurally not good vibes, not the right vibes. Workers are the consumers of the job marketplace. It is a two-stakeholder, two-sided market. They use the product, they spend the time, they provide the data, they perform the labor. These platforms don't make money at the state level, at these free state websites, because they don't have the labor force on them. That's why they don't make money. It's not the tech that makes them the money. It's the presence of U.S. job seekers. Yet they have no protections, and the result is systemic wage suppression for the entire labor force. In a complex dynamic system like the global labor market, this is an effect on the wages across the population. Platform incentives create ghost supply, scam, and identity fraud. Employer incentives create evergreen supply. Aggregator incentives create replacement supply. Workers absorb all three. Introducing the job applicant perspective. Platforms will not fix this. Their business model relies on job seeker volume, not truth. It's publicly available in the fiscal year reports. They do not hide it. It's right there. This is not a conspiracy. It's publicly available fiscal year reports. Employers will not fix this. Their leverage depends on opacity. That leaves workers We've built the first review system for job postings in the US, anonymous, worker-generated, nationwide, not revenge, not rage posting, signal. A way for job seekers to show each other what's real and what's a ghost. Like job seekers like people buying things on eBay, like people buying things anyway. Way for good faith employers to stand out from the ones just building leverage. Genuinely, there's a reason that every other industry uses user reviews for its consumers. The reason it doesn't have one here is because users can't opt out. So, a way for platforms to be regulated by the unpaid labor that drive their profits and who rely on these algorithmic experiences for their access to livelihood. That this has to come from outside the platforms should tell you just how profitable denying user reviews has been. It doesn't have to be a gladiator pit. It could have been a gaming experience. I'm just saying. The closing frame here, the picket line used to be visible. You knew when you crossed it. Now it's a database, and every worker who ever uploaded a resume might already be standing on the wrong side of it, without knowing, without consenting, and without anyone telling them what they were being used for. That's the labor market that has existed for decades. With no neutral vendors, every platform profits when job seekers don't find what they're looking for. Longer searches mean more clicks, more data, more ad revenue. The business model depends on prolonging the problem. Really doesn't just extend to platforms either. It extends to ATS companies and recruiters. But we'll talk about those another time. No meaningful regulation. The Department of Labor protects workers once they're employed. The FTC investigates fraud, but job seekers fall into the gap between consumer and worker, spending thousands of unpaid hours navigating duplicates, ghosts, and evergreen traps with no agency claiming jurisdiction. The harm is real, but it's just not illegal. There's also no advocacy groups going about publicly and fearlessly, unapologetically. All of the advice to help job seekers is about what they should do differently, not protection from any of this stuff. It's not like, obviously they've done enough. You guys stop, you change, you do this. None of that. It's all somehow related to their fault. It's wild to me. What are we talking about? Civil litigators are just starting to tiptoe into cases like Workday and algorithmic ageism, which, by the way, way worse than that. Way worse. I do believe it'll come down to hiring discrimination across the board. But unions can't organize job seekers because they're not members yet, right? The people most harmed have the least representation. I really do think this is full-on union territory, right? We're talking about. Again, it's not like everything's exactly the same. There's just a huge Venn diagram of overlapping interests here. This kind of thing, this behavior from the labor market eats at the economic safety and socioeconomic mobility of the entire employed workforce, too. Unions were built on one idea: workers protect workers. That's why we built the job applicant perspective, for a labor market regulated by the unpaid workforce who drive its profits and depend on it for survival. Think Airbnb with no host reviews, Uber with no user feedback. That's all it is. The online hiring market is just tech Uber, bringing Americans to work. Except this one exists with no user reviews because professionalism. I don't think so. I don't think so. That's funny though. This is how we do this now. Yeah. So that's the sell. The sell, education, whatever it is. Adjustment of the narrative, clarity, centering, grounding. This is still a two-sided market. Two-sided markets need protection for the people on the other side. They do not function. The song, the heartbeat of the labor market is not supply, compliance, supply, submission. It's supply, demand. That's what it is. In a market you can't opt out of with no user reviews, that's not neutral. And I don't make the rules. Reality does. It's obviously predatory. It's not, it's more like an oil rig, value from the bottom to the top. It's not systemic. So it's a thing we got to do, the thing we got to work on. This is the way. I like good systems. It's elegant, adaptable. I don't ever really argue that you should do something because it's beautiful, but if you like systems, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful design. It's elegant. It's adaptive. It doesn't take one thing. It takes all the things and adjusts slightly. And you don't tell people what to apply to. You just tell them, if you apply to this place, 80% of the people said they didn't hear back. It's like Google Maps for the job market. You don't always want to go down the road. And it's not because a company's a villain. It's just because they're busy. It's blocked because they've got enough applications. So they're getting ghosted a lot. That just means they have enough applications. It smooths everything out. It's a good, elegant, systemic solution. I like beautiful things. I used to like Einstein's relativity, not for a good reason. It was a bad reason. I like things with symmetry, elegance. Things are subtle, resilient. They're permeable. They're flexible. They're resilient. Oh, I really like it that way. Anyway, that's what I got. If you're interested, like, follow, share, repost, follow up with me. I really think we're gonna do something interesting here. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's a matter of where you want to come down in it. Yeah? How it going?